Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Nipper. Welcome back to my channel. Today what I want to teach you about is Navajo Plying. Navajo Plying is called several things. Navajo Plying, chain plying, it reminds me a lot, n-plying it's also called. It reminds me a lot of, if you crochet, doing the initial chain stitch in crocheting. That's where I think the chain plying comes through. Can't talk today. That's where the chain plying comes from. Essentially what you're doing is you are taking a bobbin full of yarn. Let me grab mine here. I've already got it set up on my new Lazy Kate that came with my, my new wheel. So what you're doing is you are taking some yarn that you've already spun into a singles, and this yarn was my first practice spinning straight Angora. It was not the best quality Angora. It was very matted and kind of just stuffed into a bag, but I got it for a really good price and I thought this would be a good way to test it out and see whether I liked it. It was a mix of French and English Angora. I think there was some German Angora in there also. It was still beautiful, but it was tricky to spin. I'm going to have another video on spinning Angora because I recently, at my local yarn shop, I found Angora top. So it's already combed into a top, which is very odd for Angora, and I haven't started spinning it yet, so I'm going to film that when I do to let you know how it is. I thought it might be interesting for us to just give it a shot together and see what turns out. Anyway, that is a very long way of saying what I have here is a bobbin full of Angora, and I don't really have a plan for this yarn. It's the only bobbin I have of it, so I thought I would just Navajo ply it. And what that means is I will be taking this single and making what is essentially a 3-ply yarn. I will be plying it back on itself. What you do is you essentially make a loop the way that you would do if you were crocheting, and then you put your hand through that loop, grab a doubled length of yarn and pull it through. That doubled length then becomes your loop that you once again stick your hand through and pull another doubled loop through. Now there are a few reasons you would want to Navajo ply something. One would be what I'm doing here. I have only one bobbin full of a particular type of yarn and I don't want to mix it with anything. Another reason might be that you want to preserve the colorway that is in your yarn. I've done that several times, especially now that we're all into the gradient yarns. You know, it can be really hard to line up the color changes if you've spun 2 singles and then you ply those together. Well, Navajo plying not only gives you a 3-ply yarn, which is a little bit stronger, but it also helps you maintain better control of your color changes. So that could be another reason that you want to do a Navajo plying or chain plying. The last reason could be that you just like the look of it. It creates a nice, slightly plumper yarn than you would have if you would just take 2 singles and ply those together. So anyway, I've got my wheel set up, so let's get started and I will teach you how to Navajo ply. Welcome back. I'm here at my shop Matchless and I'm getting ready to start Navajo plying. A few things before we start plying. I'm sure you all have been through this before, but you know, you always ply in the opposite direction from what you spun your singles in. So I always ply clockwise, which means, I always spin my singles clockwise to my right. So that means I'm going to ply spinning to my left. So always keep that in mind. Also, normally, not with this yarn. With this yarn, I expect it to maybe fall apart a little bit. You can see it's not quite the consistency that I normally spin. It's a little bit lumpy, but I actually kind of like that. I feel like it gives it a rustic feel. So I'm expecting it to fall apart a couple of times. But normally when I know I'm going to Navajo ply something, I put extra twist in it when I spin the singles. I used my Luette S10 to spin this Angora. I did this before I got my Matchless, so the Luette S10 is a great wheel. It's the wheel I learned on, but what I've found now that I have this Matchless is when I want to spin a very consistent, very thin, fine yarn, nothing beats this. So I'm sure I do not have as much twist in this yarn, even though it still feels strong, but I'm sure I don't have as much twist in this yarn as I typically would. So it might fall apart. So all of that to say, if you are spinning and you know that you are going to ply that yarn, you might want to spin on a lower ratio, or so a smaller whirl in my case, and you want to put a little bit of extra twist in your yarn. Because what happens when you ply, so if you twisted your yarn to the right when you were spinning, when you twist it to the left, it's going to take out some of that twist. So that's why I add a little bit of extra twist in. And I apologize, you see the light adjusting on my camera. This is not the best time of day to be shooting this video, but I had stuff going on, as we all do, the rest of the day, and I'm just now getting to it. Anyway, I will stop babbling now, except to tell you that when I set up to ply on my Matchless, normally I spin on a smaller whirl at a higher ratio to get more twist in the yarn. Now I have my wheel set on the largest ratio so that it will, or the largest whirl, to give me a larger ratio, meaning that it's putting less twist or taking less twist out of the yarn, if that makes sense. If you have questions about that, since I was rambling on a bit, just drop me a note in the comments and I'll make sure to get back to you. Okay, let's get started. So I have my Lazy Kate on my left. I happen to be right-handed, so it's just easier for me to work this way because I use my right hand to more control the fiber as it goes into my wheel, and my left hand is really just sort of reaching up and feeding the fiber in. So remember I said that Navajo plying is like doing the crochet chain stitch. I want you to keep that in mind as I show you what to do here. So I've got my leader on the wheel. This is nothing that I've spun yet. This is just how I get the yarn onto my wheel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread the leader out like this, put my hand through, grab some of my yarn here, and instead of, if I was just going to ply this normally, I would just feed it through my leader this way, you know, just straight through. Navajo plying is a little bit different. You're going to grab a doubled length of yarn and pull it through like this, doubled through, okay? Let me make sure you can see. So see, now I have my yarn, which is right here in my left hand, and I have my leader, and you see they're connected that way. See that? Okay, so now I'm ready to start spinning, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you this before I spin. Here's my yarn, and what I'm going to do, once the twist starts traveling in here, I'm going to stick my right hand through, grab, while I'm spinning, this is what I'm going to do, grab another length of doubled yarn, pull it through this first loop, then let go of the first loop, okay? And that's how we get our triple ply or 3-ply, okay? So let's get started and try that. Oh, make sure I'm going in the correct direction. There we go. And so it's coming through, the twist is coming through. So I reached in, pulled through, made a loop, reach in, pull through, get a loop. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but you see the twist has traveled up here, plied the yarn together. I still have kept, I'm trying to get it against my black shirt so you can see, I still have a little bit of an open loop, so I'm gonna reach through, grab a doubled length of yarn, and pull it on up through. So see, that creates my next loop. So then I'm trying to do this slowly and it's a little difficult. So then I spin, I put my arm, my hand through this one, pull it through the loop. So new loop, pull it through, arm through the loop, twist enters, reach down, grab a doubled length, pull it through, reach down, grab a doubled length. So see, you're going to eventually get, and I'm doing this really crossways from my body. I would normally work much closer to the orifice because I'm probably unwinding a little bit too much, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. Because when I was starting to Navajo ply, I swear I didn't think I would ever catch it because I could never see exactly what someone was doing. But here we go again. Hand through the loop, grab a new length, pull it through and let go. Feed it onto the wheel. So here is how I would normally work. And now I have to adjust the uptake, make it a little faster. I'm still learning all of the tricks for my Matchless. It is definitely the ease of use. See, I'm building, oh, now look. The ease of use is what I was going to say on my Spinolution. Spinolution definitely has the ease of use market cornered. That wheel, you just start spinning when you get to it. The Matchless is great for, like I said, spinning those smooth, consistent yarns, but it is a little bit more fiddly. Anyway, I'm glad this happened. I told you I thought that the yarn would split because I spun the original piece on my Luette, and look, it did. It just completely came apart here. So this, I don't have any official way to do this. I kind of just fold this little bit back on itself, make a little bit of loop. Now I have to do this with both hands and pull up the next bit so that you see I still have, if you can see it there, I still have 3 pieces, but I'm pinching together to hold the broken space, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up a second loop. Now I'm going to hold this together while I spin so that the twist can come down and make sure that that split broken piece is combined. And now look, your yarn is together and you just get back to what you were doing. So see, now I don't put my hand completely through. I have to adjust the take up again. I'm keeping it, my hand back here, and I'm doing the work with my left hand, quality control, feeding into the orifice with my right. So this is how you do Navajo spinning. It's really pretty easy if you just keep in mind that all you're doing is making a loop with your yarn, and then you are pulling another bit of yarn, a doubled length. Always remember, it's a doubled length that you're going to pull through, just like in crocheting. Crocheters, I'm betting that you have a leg up on this, but just remember, that's all it is. You're just pulling yarn through loops, the same way we do in knitting and crocheting. This is our version of pulling yarn through loops while we're spinning, okay? And actually, for the first Angora that I've spun, it's not too horribly bad. I'll try to get you over here a little closer to see if you can see it. It's not the best. This is not anything I would sell or anything like that, but for the quality and for it being the first time with a difficult fiber, I'm not too upset with it. Anyway, I am Stephanie Nipper. Thank you for joining me. I hope you will like and subscribe. As you can tell, I'm posting on a more regular basis, and I plan to continue to do so. So if you have any videos that you'd like to see in the future, please list those in the comments, and I am happy to get on that for you. Thanks for joining me, and happy spinning!